Going for boost. Well, I think going for boost, if you're a boost merchant, like someone like AJ or someone, you go for boost.
100% of the time.
Yes.
Always, every second of every game. Ball's going in your net, don't worry about it. Go get the boost and make sure you've got the full 100 to celebrate with the other team.
Oh God. Never. Yeah, never. Always go for ball.
Yeah.
Number one rule of Rocket League.
Welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, where three aggressively average Rocket League players talk about everything RLCS with your hosts, Ace, Code Red Jack, Kyle Cube, and AJ Binky. So, if you've ever wondered when the best time to go for Boost Over Ball is, you've come to the right place.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got another fun show for you. I'm Kyle K-Cube, and today I'm here with AJ Binky and Flash Pandy. You guys ready to get this one started?
Got some sweet news.
Oh, yeah. Today we'll be talking about some more roster news that has dropped since our last episode went live. Some more information on RLCS signups, SSA a little bit more in depth than some of the others. Alternating dates for EU and NA play, as well as the rest of the region's dates for Open Qualifier 1. And we'll wrap up today's episode by talking about Shift's top 20 2023 players list. So we'll just jump right in and we'll start talking about roster news. First and foremost, Crew has finalized their roster of BEMS, Card, and AJG. So, I mean, I think that should be a pretty good team. Competing in SAM. I said that, but, you know, here we go again. We've seen BEMS, we've seen Card on Furia. AJG, I think, is a good pickup, maybe provided they don't let him shoot, but, you know.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have to hit an open net, they should be good.
Didn't have to do my mans like that. This is new season, new AJG, at least in his mind, but hey, no one's going to let him live that one down.
Is this the revenge tour of AJG?
It better be. Return to Sam. Crew's going to be nasty.
I think
they have
so
a chance
too.
to be top
For
4.
real.
Also, we talked about it last episode. I think that has to be our first Rocket League what if. What if AJG doesn't miss an open net?
I think it would be episode 1 of the mini series.
I think it's got to be. That would be such a good one. But moving right along here, we have Valiant, Sub-Saharan Africa team, dropping Darth and picking up Sweaty. Darth has been on their team since they became a region in RLCS. He's led them to quite a few top finishes in SSA, but they will be dropping him for Sweaty. So hopefully that works out for them, and I wish Valiant the best of luck.
Since I got to cast in SSA last season, I got to watch Darth, and compared to a lot of the other SSA players, he's pretty dominant. I wonder why that drop happened, but hopefully he goes on to play with somebody else because he was a fun player to watch in SSA. Good luck to Sweaty. Hopefully he has a rag next to him to wipe off his controller.
Yeah, hopefully he stays true to his name.
True.
We'll save energy for last, but next we have Complexity. Due to visa issues, will be competing in SAM this season because they're not allowed to switch in the middle of the season as announced by RLCS, but they will be competing in SAM. So, you now have Furia, Complexity, Crew, Ninjas in Pajamas, Team Secret, all competing for those 2 SAM region spots. So should be a super exciting region to watch this season.
I always love watching Sam. Talk about it every time. Sam is one of the most fun regions to watch in RLCS, for sure.
I think so too. Very high offensive output, a lot of mechanical ability. This should only make it more exciting with more teams vying for those spots. Next, we have the youngest team in RLCS, the Snowmen, team of Scribbles, Reveal, and Frosty. A little bit of a teaser for that energy thing I talked about. We have Plot Twist being revived with Sosa, Expert, and Kof. I'm just going to call him Kof. I can't pronounce that. I'm very sorry. And last, before we jump into NRG, is Achieves is set to coach Pirates on a boat.
Well, with the youngest
Who's on
team,
Pirates on a boat?
I don't know who's on that team. Honestly, let's check this out. But whenever I looked at this youngest team, the Snowmen, and I saw a Reveal on there. Reveal is a solid player. I actually used to play with him in Indie Gaming League, IGL. There was an invitational team, and I played with him on that, and he was really good. We didn't win, but because we got beat by Lemon Puppy's team. But no, he's going to be really solid. The kids these days, man, I swear, it's ridiculous.
5-Up, Andy, and Eris. That's Pirates on a boat.
It was formerly Andy 5-Up Toasty. Eris took that spot today, actually. But, that kind of leaves, in my opinion, the big news, and that is NRG drops Frosty and picks up Toasty.
Okay, why did this
Paris
happen?
now with Frosty. I would love to know why this happened.
I would too.
Last second.
I mean, you have 9 months of an off season. They, as far as I understand, they played with Eris for quite a while, and then dropped him, and then kind of seemed like they waited until till the last minute to sign Frosty, and then they make it official. There's an announcement video from NRG, and then an article comes out from Shift. NRG set to part ways with Frosty. They're like, okay, well, sign-ups close. Like this report came out yesterday on Sunday, the 21st. A little bit of a timestamp for when we're recording this on the 22nd, but it's announced that on Sunday that they're trying to to find a new third. Sign-ups close tonight at midnight. That's not a lot of time. You've left it to the last minute, and I don't know that this is a positive change for them.
Is there enough time for them to be ready for qualifiers in 4 days? I mean,
I have no idea.
They have to be.
Definitely a toss-up.
I mean, you have Garrett G and Mist, 2 veterans, 2 people that have been playing together for the entire offseason because we knew that this was going to happen. There's going to be at least those 2. So you hope for NRG's sake, for Toasty's sake, that he kind of fits right in and can just kind of pick up where they left off. But this just seems like something catastrophic must have happened.
Did they leave off in a good place, though?
What do you mean?
We're talking NRG, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a distraction. They didn't, the last tournament they did fine, but apart from that, they didn't do that hot, did they?
No, but I mean, they you could start to see, at least in my opinion, some of the wheels starting to turn for them. Kind of Frosty, finding his feet. They some of the results may be starting to come their way, but in my opinion, it's got to be something personal, like on the interaction side, where something just went so horribly wrong that they needed to be rid of Frosty now. I mean, he's got to get paid, right?
It also could have been just entirely Frosty's decision. Like, they wanted to team up. He wanted to team up with the other 2 guys, so he just left NRG. I mean,
yeah, it's possible. I mean,
I wouldn't think
maybe the vibes just weren't there.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, but I imagine if NRG broke the contract, Frosty still got to get paid, right? But if Frosty breaks it, I think that it's probably okay. So I mean, I guess we'll find out some more information as information becomes available. But it's also possible that we don't, right? It's also possible that we never find out why. But it's got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be something pretty significant for him to leave that, because he's going from a team that's going to pay him a salary regardless of the results to I mean, an exciting team with Scribbles and Reveal, but he's not, they have no org support, right? They're not getting a salary. They're reliant on their results for them to get paid. But oh well. Anyway, on to some total. We have the total numbers for RLCS Open Qualifier number 1 signups. In EU, we have a total of 930 teams signed up. In NA, we have a total of 852. In South America, we have 378. In Oceania, we have 177. In MENA, we have 164. In Sub-Saharan Africa, we have 104, and in APAC, we have 75.
That's got to be a record. I was looking at the NA signups, and I want to say for the last split last season, I want to say NA was around 350.
Jeez.
Which is like, that's crazy large numbers. And I'm interested to see that was a graphic, or I was a metric of about a few hours ago. So I'm interested to see if those numbers have changed. But I know signups have either ended or about to end. I know NA signups ended an hour and a half ago as of time of recording, but I'd be interested to know what kind of record that is, if it is, which I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's a record by 2 or 3-fold, because that's a lot of teams.
Yeah, I mean,
Why do you think there's so many this time?
they're spreading out the prize pool more. People are
top
excited
128.
about like making some
that
money,
makes sense.
even if it's just like $100.
Yeah, or 10.
Yeah, but
And
I mean,
I was talking to
something.
some people that were like, "Oh, let's go play APAC because there's only 70 something teams," and I was like, "Yeah, let's just do it for the fun of it. Like, why not?" And they were like, "Well, I think I'd rather preserve my my relationship with the community over $100." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Dude, people are getting flamed on Twitter for going to play APAC RLCS as NA players," and he was like, I would take my reputation over $100 for playing in APAC."
yeah, I mean, it's like we'll go into a little bit more detail about SSA signups. We have like the official numbers for teams from different regions signing up into that one. But for a supposedly dying esport, this is a record turnout in teams. So, hopefully it's like 2 steps back for 3 steps forward later on, right? So like sustainability has been the mantra, at least for a lot of people, about the new format and the new like style of play. So a record number of teams sign up for the open qualifiers. So if things go well and teams have fun in this, it's possible we could see even more for qualifier number 2. What do you guys think?
No doubt, especially with there being
Yeah,
more of a
definitely.
chance for people to make money. I guess
Yeah.
there's only one way to find out, and that's just to wait and watch the next couple weeks.
For sure. But as I mentioned earlier, we have the official numbers for Sub-Saharan Africa. We have 104 total signups, like we said before, almost doubling the previous high of 58. We have 73 teams signing up from their own region, from Sub-Saharan Africa. We have 22 teams from EU. We have 7 teams from NA, and we have 2 teams from MENA signing up for to compete and locking themselves into competing in Sub-Saharan Africa for this season.
That's shocking to me. 73 versus 104 total. That's a very large percentage of players I didn't expect to be signing up in their own region.
I would agree. I mean, we talked last episode that we were thinking that potentially SSA, APAC, and OCE, maybe to a lesser extent OCE, but certainly SSA and APAC, might be dominated by teams not from that region.
And there's still a possibility of that. I mean, there's 29 teams from major regions, EU and NA, that did sign up. So those 22 could be, or those 29 could be bubble teams. You just never know until we see what happens. But there's also a chance of it being like, hey, there's more of a chance to win money. Let's sign up with our Champ 1 teammates. There's a chance of it being that too. But with there being only 7 NA teams, 22 EU teams, I'm going to guess that the majority of those are going to be either competing or running through the rest of the SSA teams that did sign up. Because I hope I'm proven wrong on that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, that's a lot less other region teams than I would have expected when we first talked about this last week. But it's great to see that we get 73 SSA teams sign up, and quite frankly, I hope they stomp their out of region competition. What do you think, AJ?
I do too. I hope it's top 16 SSA.
I'd love that.
That would be
I know it's
fantastic for
the
region.
exact opposite of what I said last time, but for different reasons, I want different outcomes. I want a point to be proven, and top 16 of SSA to be non-SSA. And for the sake of the SSA region, I want the top 16 to be SSA. I want them both.
At the same
I
time.
think it just would be glorious
Exactly.
to just
Yep.
embarrass the 31 teams that signed up that aren't from their own region.
That would be
I think
awesome.
it would be hilarious to watch all
Yeah.
7 NA teams get wiped in the first round of the qualifier. That'd be
That'd be
hilarious.
so good.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but that'd be.
We
so
could hope.
funny.
It could happen.
We can
We
dream.
could. We could dream. Go back to the United States.
But
Yeah.
also, I mean, I
Go
have
back
to
to
point
where you
out,
came
and
from.
I have to point this out, and props to Sasuke. He's been on the show before. Pointing out, the whole like just go on a quick vacation, farm the region jokes, right? That's an NA team that was looking into going to SSA to compete for the spring split. It's talked about that the jokes were that NA teams were going to compete in SSA, but you actually have more EU teams in SSA than NA. So, I mean, granted, you also have more NA teams signed up in general, right? Like almost 100 more EU teams are signed up, but it's still kind of ironic that you see more EU teams making the move to SSA than NA.
I hope that
Honestly-
team that was going to farm the region plays in SSA and gets stomped.
Still by
That'd be
EU
awesome.
teams.
Yeah.
Those 7
I
NA
honestly-
teams trying to avoid NA and EU teams
Yeah.
and just get stomped.
I'm honestly not
It'd be so
surprised at
funny.
all that there's 22 EU teams versus 7 NA teams that signed up for SSA, because we looked at the EU pool last time and my god, it looks terrifying.
Yeah, it's scary.
Like if I was not a mainstream or a main event EU pro team, I would want to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
Top 4, I feel
And-
like.
I mean, also, one thing I kind of get it, but also at the same time, I kind of don't. It's like the first person that comes to mind for me is Itachi, right? Itachi is Moroccan, which is African, but competes in EU, right? So, like, do you think there's some teams like, composed of Moroccan players or, players that are, equally close to, SSA as they would be to EU?
That's fair. It's probably
sure.
just if they find local players to play with in like Morocco or
Yeah.
something like that to play with.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a thought. It's not necessarily true. I haven't seen, they haven't released the full list of teams that are competing in each region. So, but that's just my first thought. But also some exciting news. It was tweeted out. It has been announced that NA and EU Open qualifier dates are now staggered, so people can watch both of the two quote-unquote major regions competing in RLCS on different days. That's kind of
So did
exciting.
this change? Did this change, or was it never set in stone that it was all going to be on the same weekend?
So from what I saw from that original announcement, they didn't list 2 dates. So either this was the plan all along and they didn't do a good job of explaining it, or they released all the dates, they heard, all of the, quite frankly, warranted criticism and made a change. I'm not sure, but either way, this is what the people want.
100%.
To be able to watch good Rocket League, and quite frankly, it's no secret that all of us on the podcast here assume that EU is going to continue their dominant streak. So not being able to watch them play would be just not a good time for Rocket League fans.
I don't know if this was a result of community pressure or if this was just a result of people using their brains. But this is one of the best, I think, changes we could have asked for this thing, is just separating 2 regions, or at least just giving us more Rocket League over a period of 2 weeks rather than having to wait.
Yeah, I feel like it's just common sense, right?
It is. And I honestly am surprised that it took that long to make that change or to make that announcement. I hope we can get that for more regions, but I doubt that happens.
Yeah, cool.
But I mean, even with we'll go through all of the dates here, but even with a lot of the regions still competing on similar days, it's nice that they're at least splitting up the two major regions.
Very true.
But with that, EU, we have their double elimination open qualifier number 1 happening on February 2nd through the 4th. The Swiss stage happening on February 9th, a week later, and their playoffs being that same weekend, the 10th and the 11th. In NA, we have their double elimination qualifier starting this week. That's crazy. On Friday to Sunday, the 26th through the 28th. Their Swiss bracket happening on February 2nd, and which is a week from Friday, and those playoffs happening the 3rd and the 4th. In OCE, in SAM, in APAC, and in SSA, their double elim is the 27th and the 28th of January. Their Swiss is the 2nd of February. Their playoffs are the 3rd and the 4th of February. And in MENA, we have their double elimination just a day earlier, the 26th to 27th. Their Swiss, February 1st, and their playoffs, February 2nd and February 3rd. So a lot of, like I said, a lot of the regions, the quote-unquote minor regions, still having their events on the same day, but, you will get to watch more Rocket League, and I think that's really what people have wanted since the beginning.
Yeah, I'm still wondering what time each region will be set aside during the day, whether it's like 3 a.m. our time or like 2 a.m. our time. That we kind of joked about it last time, but I think it's a reality. We will have 24 hours of Rocket League on January 26th and 27th.
Yeah.
There's a very real chance of that happening.
Yep.
I would tend to agree. But we'll start talking about our last topic of the episode, and that will be Shift's top players of 2023. We'll be focusing in on the top 20 for this one. So, I kind of figure I'll run down the list from 1 to 20, and then we can talk about it, talk about our thoughts, some of the interesting things about the list. So starting off at number 1, we have Vatira, Alpha 54 in 2nd, Zen in 3rd, Exotic 4th, Radosin 5th, Itachi 6th, Oski 7th, Atau, Rise, Monkey Moon, Raise Bull, Seiko, Apparently Jack, CRR, Chronic, Atomic, G2 Atomic, Killers, First Killer, and rounding out the list at number 20, we have LJ.
Right, before we discuss, I'm going to move these down onto a separate page.
It's literally, I'm going to read off the first 10 based off where they're from. EU, 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 EU. You're all from EU, the top 10. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. So of this list, we have 12 players from EU, 14 if you include CRR and Apparently Jack, who are from EU but are competing in NA. You have 7 players that competed in NA. That's 4 of them if you exclude the players that came from another region like Raise Bull, Apparently Jack, and CRR. You have 1 MENA player.
I mean, are we surprised that it is this EU dominant?
No.
But now that it's like put into a list, I haven't really considered a lot of this before. Honestly, Alpha 54 and Zen, those are so interchangeable. But honestly, I just have to put Zen above Alpha.
See, yeah, I think putting Alpha above Zen is recency bias.
I think putting anybody above Zen is ridiculous.
Dumb. Yeah.
Vatira is a fantastic player, but he may be 2. Zen, Vatira, Alpha. I mean, Alpha had a fantastic season, but he really popped off the World Championship. Same with Radosin, right? But there was a time at the beginning of the season when people weren't sure if taking Radosin instead of Sizen was the right move. It proved to be. They won a World Championship. They looked good. However, again, until the 3rd split, Radosin was a good EU player, not top 5, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know he had some troubles throughout the major and up to Worlds. I know Radosin did, but I mean, this list of players they're all so good. I mean, the whole script that Vatira is the best player in the world, it's Zen. I mean, Vatira may be the most just overall solid player, but Zen, he's changed the game too much for him not to be considered the best ever.
It feels like you can't even argue it.
I mean, my like biggest argument for Zen is think about all the roster moves that happened this year, especially in EU, and look at what teams stayed the same.
Vitality.
Yeah, they have no reason to change.
People are trying to change their roster to make super teams to compete with Vitality, to compete with Zen.
Yeah,
that is how good he is. That is how good they are. I mean, that is the definition of a super team. There is no other definition of a super team.
But
I mean, Karmine Corp is trying to combat that, but my God, it's ridiculous.
I mean, Vitality's not a super team without Zen, right? Like the matchup nightmare that he brings is the reason that they are as good as they are, right? If you key in on Zen, then Alpha and Radosin will take you out. If you don't, Zen will beat you. Right? Like that, like it's the three-headed monster that he creates. He's the puppet master pulling the strings.
Do you think he'd be just as good on another team?
Yes.
Another two other teammates, different teammates?
I think he definitely would, but he's in too comfortable of an environment to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely
I just
no
remember
reason for him to change.
Oh, none at all. I mean, I just remember they placed 5th at Gamers 8. I thought the world was going to end, that Vitality was like breaking up and Vitality was pulling out RLCS. No, they just Zen won $320,000 to himself in like 2 months.
Yeah.
In 4 events. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, again,
nobody's done that.
Another player that I think maybe doesn't get as much recognition as he maybe should is Rise. I think Rise certainly deserves his spot on the list. He did it with 2 separate teams.
Yeah,
made majors, like was a fantastic player. I mean, BDS wasn't really doing anything until they brought in Rise.
That's true.
They were definitely on a down period.
So I'm very intrigued to see what happens with Karmine Corp. You know now, especially bringing him in, reuniting him with Vatira. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see. But I hate to slander the non-EU people on this list, right? Because there's so few. But I feel like Raze Bull is too high.
Yeah, especially above Seiko.
I mean,
and Appjack.
And LJ, quite frankly. I mean, LJ
and LJ too. Yeah.
LJ won an MVP
there's some
at
others
Worlds.
on the list that, yeah.
I also think that there's not enough representation in here for Mina. I think that they really have planted their flag on the world stage, showing that they're not a minor region anymore. I mean,
placing top 4 in Boston, obviously doing well in Worlds. I mean, they definitely have planted that very well.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at as well.
There may be a little bit of region bias with this list. Shift.
That's what I was thinking too. That's why I asked who's on Shift.
I mean, they have a lot of people, right? And it's like it's one of those debates where it's like you can't just use stats, because stats aren't always the best indicator of of performance, right? Because you can, especially in Rocket League, you could be a dominant midfield player. I think Rizzo was a victim of this quite a bit. Rizzo had a very good playstyle in his prime, and he didn't always put up the most points, but he was very dominant in midfield. His challenges were very good. He, won a lot of 50s, but that doesn't show up on the score sheet, right? And, you're not putting in as many goals as a Vatira or a Zen or an Alpha, but you're still having an impact on the game. So I'm very curious, and I don't know for sure, but I'm very curious as to how, they compiled this list.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've definitely seen some pushback on Twitter. So
I think they're in the right place. They definitely have the right players, some of the right players on here. It's just some of the priorities are definitely being skewed a little bit towards the more talking funny folk in EU.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but Zen's on top. We can all
No,
agree
no
on
doubt.
that.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, Gibbs replied to the tweet of the number one player being Vatira was released earlier today. Now that the list is complete, I'm honestly impressed how bad this list is.
I love
That's
Gibbs.
awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a lot of
And
the.
honestly, he's not wrong.
I would kind of
like it's not a terrible list, but
yeah.
there's very glaring flaws in
I
it.
think we need a
That's
boost
for
over
sure.
ball top list players 2023.
We might
Didn't
have
we
to.
do a top 10 or something at some point?
I think we did.
Yeah, let's do it again.
We did do it. But also another thing that I'm kind of just like thinking about, and like we talk about recency bias, which potentially could be Zen, right? But Zen didn't play 2 splits. He only played 1 split.
Yeah, so it kind of has to be recency bias. Also, he won literally everything.
Everything that he was able to play because he got banned.
Yeah.
He's that good.
No, but
Yeah.
but like I see where they're coming from a little bit on this one now that I'm thinking a little bit more about it, right? But like Vatira is there because Karmine Corp was there. Always. Right?
Sure.
It is a yearly
Zen
list.
won-
Like it's the whole
Zen
year.
won everything. Everything he was able to play, he won.
Right.
How do you argue against that?
Because he didn't win everything. He won everything he could, which is fantastic, right? He won 3 regionals, he won a major, and he won a world championship. But Karmine Corp won almost the rest of the season.
Until Zen could play.
Right.
I mean, they
But
won
that's
the
still
winter major.
That's still 2/3 of the season, right? Karmine Corp was 2/3 of the season, the best in
Like,
EU,
you're
and
not
then
wrong.
1/3
You're
not.
wrong.
And then even in that 1/3, they were second, or sometimes third because Liquid, but second. And then at Worlds,
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying.
I tend to agree though. Like his Zen's impact cannot be understated. And even though he did play a split, I still put him 1. But I think Vatira has a case to be up there completely. I think he does. He's a fantastic.
Oh yeah, I
player.
think Vatira's number 2.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
no
I
doubt.
see where they're coming from. Is what I say. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. That's fair. I disagree with them though.
That's
So
fair.
change my opinion.
Yeah.
This list sucks. Do
But-
better.
But we with that, do you guys have anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap up this episode?
I did
Um,
have something. I don't remember what it is though. So no.
I will say, I was able to get confirmation that team streams will probably be happening, which is cool. So that is
Sweet.
something to look
Good deal.
forward to. So yeah, be excited about that. Hopefully, we
If
can get some
you
representation.
if you are an RLCS team or in open qualifiers and are looking for someone to team stream, we are able to team stream.
We are able to team stream. We have experience as production folk. We have experience.
One of us has experience. I won't say who. It's not me. And it might not
At
be
Flash
AJ.
Pandy on Twitter. Hit me up.
It would be scuffed, but it would be a lot of fun. So, if you're looking for someone to
Hey,
do a
we'd
team
make it
stream,
happen.
we'd be happy to help and happy to make it happen. So,
We'd be ecstatic to help.
Let's wait for one of these priorities. Go to the NA teams that are in SSA that are looking to get wiped out in the first round. I'll publicize that for you guys for free. No payment, nothing.
we'll do it out of the goodness of our hearts.
Yes, for our content reasons, for our laughter. As I say that, it's gonna be like top 7 NA.
Oh, what's the situation with TSM?
Still nothing.
Have we gotten an announcement?
Still nothing has been officially announced yet.
They're gonna wait till 11:58 to sign up and then announce it at midnight.
No idea. We will find out, I guess, soon enough.
That would be
Next
wild.
episode, the results of the TSM conversation.
Yeah, but next episode we'll have our work cut out for us. We'll have a lot of Rocket League to recap of these open qualifiers.
Stay tuned to find out.
Exactly. Stay tuned, and with that, so happy that RLCS is back. We'll be talking to you next week about actual RLCS Rocket League events. So with that, Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, join our Discord, rate us wherever you listen to podcasts. Those 5 stars really help us grow our show and expand our audience. Also, make sure to check out our YouTube, our Twitch, our TikTok, our merch store with some super cool, awesome merch items. Pictures of those are in our Discord that you can check out. All of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. From us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball.
Thank you for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website, www.boostoverball.com, and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts.